I rise today in support of the Child Sex Offenders Registration Child-Related Work Amendment Bill 2023, which seeks to broaden the definition of child-related work to ensure South Australians under the age of 18 are not working alongside registered sex offenders or those accused of registrable child sex offences, including the persistent sexual abuse of a child, gross indecency, and the production or dissemination of child exploitation material. At present, accused and registered child sex offenders are already generally prohibited from working in a narrow cohort of roles that provide services directly to children, such as childcare, foster care, or coaching in sports. This is a clear flaw in our current laws that South Australians would rightfully expect we fix. South Australian parents and caregivers, all parents and caregivers, would hope and expect that when their children go off to work for the first time, whether it be stacking shelves at the Cumberland Park Woolies, taking orders at the new McDonald's in Pasadena, or weekend shifts at one of our excellent local coffee shops, we would assume that they are working in a safe environment. Young people are already some of the most vulnerable in a work environment, and we must do everything we can in this place to keep children safe wherever they may be. Mr. Acting Deputy Speaker, this bill supports our commitment to take the toughest action ever in the history of our nation against those who exploit children. In addition to this reform, we are also seeking to fast-track tough new child sex offender laws, which would see repeat child sex offenders subject to indefinite imprisonment and face lifetime electronic monitoring. This reform also complements the suite of commitments we made to the South Australian people at the last state election that we have already delivered upon, including closing loopholes that once made it easier for South Australians who possess child porn or childlike sex dolls to get bigger sentence discounts or bail, increasing penalties for a range of child sex offences, and boosting funding for victim support services. South Australian Labor has a proud and long record of improving community safety, providing support for victims and reforming our justice system. It was Labor who removed the statute of limitations on child sex offences, established our first child sex offender register, and appointed the state's first Commissioner for Victims' Rights. But we also know that justice is about so much more than just punishing criminals. Those of us on this side of the House appreciate we must place those who are victims of criminal activity at the centre of the government's response to crime and ensure they are treated as more than just a witness or survivor. South Australian victims of crime, regardless of their economic circumstances or the language they speak at home, should feel respected, supported and safe. The trauma of victims, which can easily be aggravated by court proceedings, anniversaries and publicity, needs to be addressed safely, compassionately and confidentially. We were all shocked by reports in March 2022 that a fast food manager who had been arrested for being in possession of child sexual abuse was allowed to continue working with and supervising underage workers because his employers had not been told of his charges. It is completely unacceptable. South Australians were again disgusted in August 2023 when a 23-year-old man was arrested for sexually abusing an underage co-worker and sexually harassing two underage co-workers at a regional KFC. When we send our kids off to work for the first time, we prepare them for the grumpy customers, the passionate micromanagers, and the stress of balancing homework and shift commitments. If you're anything like my parents, you also make sure they get to work 10 minutes before their shift starts so they can go to the toilet beforehand and be ready to begin the moment their shift starts. But what we often don't prepare them for, and we shouldn't have to, and obviously we don't want to have to, is the risk of sexual assault and harassment at the hands of their adult colleagues. As parents and caregivers, We often don't prepare our children for this because we don't expect it to be an issue and we desperately don't want it to be. South Australian parents and caregivers rightfully expect the law and the criminal justice system to keep their children safe from predators when their children aren't at home, especially so in a workplace. Today, the Malinauskas government hears those parents and caregivers and will provide additional protections to ensure South Australian children who are working are not working alongside registered child sex offenders or those who have been accused of registrable child sex offences. Just saying that sentence out loud, it seems so obvious, something that we shouldn't have to say out loud, something that should already exist. So I'm really proud that we are making that happen. Under this proposed reform, registered child sex offenders and those accused of registrable child sex offences would be unable to work for a business that hires underage workers, where the offender would be in contact with those children, regardless of whether that's in person, over the phone, or via email. It's about keeping these children safe through as many mediums as possible. Those who have been accused of registrable child sex offences who have underage co-workers would be required to notify their current employer within 7 days of being arrested. This bill does not seek to apply this prohibition to employment where the workplace contact with a child is only ever fleeting or incidental, such as during a change of shift. Upon successful passage of this bill, registered child sex offenders and those accused of registrable child sex offences could apply for variation of this reforms once in place, only where it may be deemed that they pose no risk to child employees in their workplace. This would be up to the discretion of the bail authority for the accused offender, or the Commissioner of Police for convicted registered offenders. In closing, Mr. Speaker, I would like to thank the ongoing efforts of the SDA, who always do great work and have publicly called for this reform in this area for years, who can now finally see their efforts are pushed forward in this place. And a big shout out to that Union Secretary, Josh Peake, good job. I would also like to thank the Attorney General and his team for their ongoing work on criminal justice reform since we came to government, as we strive together to keep all South Australians safe and well wherever they may be. I'm very, very proud to be part of this Malinauskas Labor government, a government that is committed to fairness and committed to keeping people safe in our community. It's been a pleasure to speak on a number of Attorney General bills in my 2 years so far in this place, and I hope to be here for many, many, many more years talking on even more extra excellent reforms brought to us by our Attorney General. This bill is an important step forward in protecting vulnerable young South Australians at work, and I know that all the people in this place, regardless of if you're a parent or a caregiver, cares passionately about making sure the most vulnerable people in our community are protected. And this bill goes some way in doing that. I want to make sure that our young people get to go to work and be as safe as possible. That the worst thing my daughter turned 7 on Sunday, so we're a while away from having to send her to any kind of workplace. But when I do, I hope that the worst thing that she comes home from a shift at Cafer's or Macca's, or maybe she does a paper round like I did when I was little. I hope that the worst thing that she comes back with is just that there was a grumpy customer. That is the only thing that a young child, a young person, and let's be honest, they're children. A 14-year-old is a child. I want to know that 14-year-old, because I will be making sure she does go to a workplace as soon as she's able to, teaches them a good work ethic. I want to know that when I send her there, she is safe. There are not people who have committed awful offences in the same workplace as her, working beside her. It is completely unacceptable, and I think it's really important to get this bill through our parliament, because it will make such a difference and give many parents in our community and caregivers the peace of mind so that when they send their children to, maybe be serving someone a two-piece feed, they also have the peace of mind that their child is in a safe place. So I am just really proud about this important step that we're moving forward in protecting vulnerable young South Australians at work. And I seek leave. No, I don't seek leave yet to continue my remarks. Even as an 18-year-old working... Pardon? Oh, I can just stop. I commend the bill to the House.
That's the call. Is there someone else?